Trump is showing some signs of weakness. How do we stop him and, critically, keep something like this from happening again? Well, the first thing is Democrats need to win the midterms. And not just any Democrats. If you've been paying attention to politics, you probably realize that Democrats have been really weak-spined and bad at communicating. This is the easiest message in the world, and Democrats are totally failing at it. One of the few Democrats I've seen actually put forth a consistent, compelling message is AOC. And I do think she's one of the most skilled political communicators of our generation. She would be an excellent choice to lead the Democratic Party. But the problem is our current leadership doesn't fight like that. Our current leadership doesn't understand that they need to make a case to people. They literally just look at polling, which is influenced by Republicans, because Republicans do make a case for what they're doing. Republicans consistently message their position very well. This is the reason why, even though Republican policies are so stupid, they command such widespread support in many cases, and Republican leaders specifically command higher support than you would expect. The reason why is because they have a coherent message and they keep messaging it in general. Now, this is sort of not true if you dig down under the weeds. Then you realize, hey, actually some of these things are in conflict with each other. But if you're a low info voter, Republican messages are very compelling and they're consistent and clear. Democratic messaging is quite bad. They're not very good at getting public attention. They're not very good at getting the news to even cover them in the first place, let alone trying to set an agenda or set a message. Trump made immigration the key issue of the election. Immigration was not an important issue to most people's lives. We're not being overrun by illegal immigrants, and the evidence is quite clear that immigrants commit fewer crimes than native-born Americans. And yet, he made it the key issue by bringing it up again and again and again. And Democrats, and this is a huge mistake, caved. And they caved on trade, and they caved on trans rights, and they caved on all these issues. Rather than messaging their position, they caved because they see the polls changing, and they're like, rather than saying, this shows we need to make an affirmative case and brainstorm and see how do we defend these positions, they say, oh, well, we'll change our position now. And the problem with that is twofold. One, you're making your position literally just worse. On an object level, you are making the party a worse party, which means people are going to be less enthusiastic about it. And more importantly, you're just not going to be able to do as much good. But two, voters see it as totally fake. If you are a Democrat going out there saying, I don't believe in trans rights, the problem is nobody believes you. The voters for whom that issue is important are still going to vote Republicans because they were the one making taking away trans rights their platform first. They were the ones talking about deporting all the immigrants first. If somebody's concerned about immigration, they are going to vote for the Republicans, the immigration party. What you need to do is do the opposite thing. I'll pick one example, Trump's tax on tips. Terrible policy to have no tax on tips, right? He is still trying to abolish taxes on tips. It will shift workers into more precarious positions. You should say that. And instead what Kamala did is she was like, oh, I'm going to back that up. Oh, I also agree with that policy. No, you don't do that. It makes you look weak and like you're following Trump. He's the leader. And it also is just stupid because, again, this is dumb policy. What you do is you push back. You say, listen, what Trump's saying, it's a lie. It's not going to help workers. It's going to push you into a more precarious situation because employers are going to be paying you through tips instead of regular income. My plan is better because it will give you stability. I want a nationwide $15 minimum wage. That's what she should have been saying. That's what she should have been making a case for a policy that is better than Trump's, rather than letting him hog the spotlight with his policy and then basically just saying, oh yeah, Trump is right. He's very smart. I agree with him. What a handsome man. You need to push back. You need to say his policy is bad. And here's how I help workers in my way, in a Democratic Party way that everyone recognizes is sincere. That's what you need to do. So first off, the current Democratic Party leadership is not doing that. AOC is literally the only one out there that I see that is consistently doing anything like this. Everyone needs to go that is not doing that. I mean, seriously, just they should be primaried or at the very least threatened with primaries enough that they change what they're doing. Second thing that needs to change, we just can't have as many old people in office. I love old people. Trust me, I do. Here's the problem. They have less energy, and many of them do start to get cognitive decline, and it's hard to predict when that will happen. Now, professions that are very high demand, such as pilots, have a mandatory retirement age. For pilots, I believe it's 50 or 55. And I'm not saying that it should be that low for senators or congresspeople or something, but if somebody is 85 years old, the odds that they're going to either die in office or get some sort of cognitive disease, or maybe even already have a cognitive disease that they're hiding, are quite high. That person, if they have a primary challenge from a younger opponent, you should vote for the younger opponent. And this is a big beef that I have with Democratic voters, because voters are extremely loyal to their representatives, to the point that somebody like Dianne Feinstein, who is clearly cognitively not capable of doing the job, died in office. She wasn't even voted out. She did, even though it was, again, clear that she was too old for the job. She wasn't voted out. She kept going, completely clueless about what was going on until she died in office. That is not acceptable. When somebody like Ed Markey is primaried by somebody like Joe Kennedy, you fucking vote for Joe Kennedy. He has the same policy positions and he's 30 years younger. He will be in office a long time, keeping that seat safe and gaining experience. And Ed Markey, he was fine, but he wasn't like an incredible, couldn't be replaced senator. The man is 77 years old or something. Like, vote for the younger guy. Again, this is just a key Democratic failing. We've let our leadership become geriatric, and they've blocked anyone from coming up after them. Nancy Pelosi was very careful to make sure that there were no challenges to her power, in a similar way that they do in authoritarian regimes, right? Where the dictator is like killing his sons, or like, sending younger officers away on like tiny little assignments and demoting them, and everybody around him is like 85 years old, so they can't pose a threat to him. That's what Nancy Pelosi was doing in the House, and that's just not acceptable. We cannot let seniority be the only thing that determines our leadership, because it's leading to crappy leadership. Even more important than age is loyalty, willingness to work together as a party to fix the problems that led to Trump being elected in the first place. And that's going to take party discipline. It's going to take people that stick together with the Democrats, message with the Democrats, and vote with the Democrats. Frankly, I don't like moderate Democrats, simply because I used to be of the belief, well, at least a moderate Democrat is better than a Republican in that seat. And sometimes that's true, but sometimes it's really not, because it creates this illusion of, we can work with the moderates and we need to change our platform to cater to this one guy. And it creates bad press too, when you have, even Democratic senators don't believe in the Affordable Care Act, which is, that was a big problem with Obamacare, right? They need to get to 60 votes. Why did they need to get to 60 votes? Just get 51 senators that are willing to end the filibuster in order to get actually good health care. Now, that's just with health care. We're going to need to change a lot of stuff if we get, say, President AOC in 2028, I hope. That's going to require having people in there that don't believe that it's 1995 and they need to work with Republicans. We need to make sure that Democratic Party messaging and leadership is consistent in favor of fixing the system. Otherwise, the problems are just going to come right back. And that's all, folks. See you next time.